All right, guys, welcome back to the next episode of the Grand Prairie PD podcast. I am your host, Nate, here sort of by myself today with someone who was at one time a guest and a host.
I was.
Actually, our inaugural guest, Officer, I think we called you Officer Joe at the time.
Yeah.
You have your name tag out, so.
At this point, it really doesn't matter too much.
Lots changed since we were in the basement.
Yeah, no video. We could freely pick our nose.
Yep.
It's a lot nicer in here.
It is nicer. Yeah. I was super surprised when they because they locked us out of this room for I don't know months it seemed like, and then they just brought us in to do the reveal, and I don't really know what I expected, but it was not this, and I was actually super blown away.
No, this is a professional deal. This is legit, but way better than the prison room, surrounded by all the random training stuff. And I think we still had like the 10,000 shotguns in there too from when they were doing the shotgun turn-in. Yeah. So we're just
I kind of like that though, to be honest, because it's like there was no because the editing was not a big deal at all.
Yeah.
So you could like go down whatever rabbit holes you want, talk for however long you want. There wasn't the issue of like splicing together video. Mm-hmm. But I think we still keep him pretty busy editing. And
I feel like it's more relaxed when there's not video because, like I said, now I'm like public speaking versus just chilling with my bros and having a conversation.
Which, fortunately for me and everybody listening, you're good at public speaking. So,
I mean, I fake it till you make it.
That's what struck me when the first time we sat down with you. Because you started talking, and I was like, "Oh, you're better at this than we are."
I mean, not to really out myself as a colossal nerd. I mean, most people know that I am a huge nerd, kind of a dork. I actually taught public speaking, like in the latter years.
I remember you teaching. I remember you said you took
so
it
I
or
did,
something.
Well, I worked for a nonprofit the last couple of years of high school, and even the first couple of years of adulthood. And part of it was teaching like public speaking and all that. So I have some experience with it. I wouldn't call myself super polished. Yeah. But when it comes to teaching, you just have to know a little more than your students, and you're good to go. So that's kind of where that's kind of where I was at.
Kind of trick them.
And once you do it a lot, then you're not as nervous, and so you get rid of all those nervous tics. Yeah. And then you look solid because you're just not nervous. Yeah. And if you stop caring what people think, that's another thing.
Yeah, like this, I just assume that no one watches it. So I just I don't check the thing to see how many people watch it or subscribe to it. I'm just like, probably nobody. So
yeah,
I don't worry about it.
Fire and forget.
Yeah.
Let's jump to the next one. You're like, oh, wow, we got a next one?
Yeah.
And you're like, it might be the last one. Oh, we got another one. All right.
That is our conspiracy, that you were the first one, and they're going to tell us that you're also the last.
Yeah, and like we were talking about that before, and we'll have to see. Yeah. Like I said, I hope I'm not the last guest. I feel like we probably pick something more epic than me to end this on. This grand experiment, I guess.
I don't know. It's definitely being interesting.
It's going on for what, 2 years now?
I don't know.
No, 3 years. Because I think I just got on deployment.
Really? 2. You said 2.
Is it 2?
Yeah.
2 years. That's still a long time.
Well, when we talked the first time, what we were talking about before is we were stayed pretty focused on your military and whatnot. We always said that we were going to have you come back for round 2.
Yeah.
This is a great lesson in procrastination because you are also leaving. So
I am leaving the department. That's true.
So we guess we have to do it now.
under the gun.
You're probably not going to commute for the episode.
Well, I will say as a teaser, maybe to get people to go back and listen to that last one. I do remember. Do you remember talking about Pumpkin the pig? And how I was trying to get it to be a house pig, and my wife. So years later now, so I was never able to successfully get Pumpkin in the house.
Unfortunately, as a matter of allowance.
Well, my wife doesn't know, right? She wasn't at the house all the time. Right. But no, as a permanent fixture inside the house, I wasn't able to make Pumpkin a house pig. So unfortunately, Pumpkin now lives with my brother and as not a house pig, but as a free range pig. So she's got the run of about 20 acres. He can't keep her penned up. He got tired of trying, so now she just roams 20 acres. So opposite of house pig is do whatever you want pig. So Pumpkin's in a better place, doing better things, but that's the teaser. If people want to hear the full part of that, they can go all the way back and listen. Maybe just fast forward through it. It's probably the only interesting thing we really talked about, if we're honest.
I always think about your dad being a spy. He lied about it for 30 minutes, but
Oh yeah, I lied about it for 30 minutes. Yeah, so jury's still out on that one.
now does Pumpkin have a specific expiration date or retirement plan, or is she just there to be happy?
I mean, I think Pumpkin just lives in the moment.
Okay.
No long-term goals in her mind,
Know
or
if they were going to have her over for Sunday breakfast one day. Or?
I don't think so. I don't think that's the plan. Well, yeah, I don't think that's the plan. Mainly because my sister-in-law is more of a, like, she doesn't really want to eat the animals and stuff like that. But at this point, I don't know if they could really catch her. So if it happens, it happens. But that's my brother's pig now, so he's more than welcome to do whatever he wants with it.
Well, why don't you give us a quick Cliff Notes version of, I guess, the first episode, skipping over all the exciting parts, and get us caught up to you being a Grand Prairie officer.
Okay. Yeah, I was born like most people. Lived a childhood like most people. My childhood was a little unique. I was homeschooled, and this is late 90s when that really wasn't a thing. Yep. In fact, I've been playing in my front yard. I've been stopped by a few cops asking why I wasn't in school. That doesn't happen as much now. Was a military brat, so I moved around quite a bit. Bounced around Texas quite a bit. Kind of grew up here. So graduated high school as a homeschooler. So all those jokes are still go on. People.
Did you have to make up a name for your transcript?
Yeah. Yeah. So like, Texas will accept, even the colleges will accept a transcript that's manufactured by a homeschooler and stuff, mainly because it's being coupled with the SAT.
Right.
So, but yeah, my parents made up a school name. I have a diploma and stuff like that from this, and they had it made professionally.
Which I never really understood that, because because I was in the same boat, and it being coupled with a test made it a lot easier. But I never really understood I guess maybe the necessity of the test. Like having some kind of entrance requirement, but it's like, are you afraid that I'm gonna, if I'm not gonna show that I'm smart enough, then I'm gonna show up to your school and then pass everything and get a degree and I don't deserve it? Like if your courses are difficult, I can pass the course or I can't.
Yeah.
What's the? I never understood the obsession with the SAT, ACT.
Well, and the funny thing is, so I ended up, spoiler alert, I got a degree from an online university that didn't require an ACT or SAT.
Right.
That just required a high school. So I don't know if it's a requirement. I think it's just maybe a thing that they all got together and were like, hey, we're going to have this test. I mean, I don't know. I didn't do great on the SAT.
See, it worked out good for me because I was a good test taker.
Oh, dude, normally I'm a good test taker, but I took the SAT twice and I got like an 1134 or whatever, which is like right smack in the middle is average.
Right, yeah.
And I took it twice and got like 10. I improved by 10 points, and I was like, I'm not taking it again. I mean, it's just brutal. I got accepted in some college, I think it was like three different colleges in Texas. And this was years ago, but couldn't find a way to pay for them. Right, so
that's a problem.
That's why I joined the Army. It got me good on that one. Let me get to college, but I did get a college degree. Just took me 8 years in between dodging deployments and not dodging deployments, but dodging bullets in far off lands. I did deploy twice, so rescind that statement. I realized that could be taken out of context. Yeah, we're gonna specially or creatively edit that one. So, but yeah, graduated from homeschool. I actually worked for a nonprofit, like we're talking about, leadership school that went around the country, mainly for homeschoolers, but brought students to the state capitol and taught them all kinds of stuff about their local government. Public speaking was one aspect of that. So I interned. I actually attended as a student, and then I interned, and then it kind of turned into a job with them for a couple of years, but not really any upward movement, or it's not a career. It's just like a job that I was doing. So joined the Army in 2006 and did 8 years in the Army, half as an infantry guy, half as an EOD guy. Got wounded a couple of times in Afghanistan, decided that I would do something a little safer. So I got out and became a cop. Being a cop wasn't anything that I super wanted to, as a little kid, you want to be a cop. Mm-hmm. Just kind of something I fell into. I was actually, when I was in Afghanistan in 2012, so to prove my previous statement of dodging deployments, I went to Baghdad in 2009 and then Kandahar, Afghanistan in 2012. But when I was in Afghanistan, there was this contractor. He was a law enforcement professional. They brought him over to kind of manage some of the more forensic aspect of collecting evidence on bomb makers or guys that were shooting at us, that kind of thing. So he was living at our outpost, and he was a pretty chill guy. So I'd smoke cigars with him, and he kept talking about Grand Prairie, and at the time I wasn't really thinking about getting out. And he talked about
like getting home.
Yeah, I was just more or less just trying to make it through the 9 months, because it was a pretty active 9 months. But so when I came back, we were emailing back and forth. We just kind of kept up, and I told him, I was like, oh yeah, I'm looking to get out, because started to poke around after I got out, or after I got back, and I was like, hey, what do I want to do with my career? Doors were kind of shutting, and then basically I asked the Human Resources Command, the guys in charge of all this stuff. I was like, okay, you tell me what I can do, because I've tried and I've asked about all these other cool opportunities within the EOD field, and they were like, let's look. Oh, you can stay exactly where you're at for 6 years, and with a bonus. And I was like, man, I don't want to stay. But part of the story is that yes, I was stationed in the latter part of Fort Bliss in El Paso. This is important to the future story, because that's where I met my wife, who is from southern New Mexico. So I met her and while I was stationed there, and got married. But I was emailing this guy back and forth, and he was a retired Arlington cop, I want to say. But he never said anything about Arlington. He just hyped up Grand Prairie and Steve Dye and all that stuff. So when he found out I was getting out, he's like, dude, come stay with me. Grand Prairie's testing in a couple of weeks. You can stay with me just to go take the test. So I was like, well, I got nothing else going on. I put out applications in different places. Nothing.
Different police departments, or the other kind of jobs?
No, actually, it's the only police department I ever applied to. So one and done. I know can be a unique. I know there's people out there that are frustrated because they put in multiple. I guess I got fortunate on that, but it was mainly with a lot of federal agencies. Oh. You don't know what you don't know.
I started saying it.
We love our federal partners, but none of us probably would want to work for a federal agency.
They're real cops too.
Yeah, right. So, but there was a hiring freeze in 2014 when I got out, so a lot of those places were just hey, we can't. Looked into contracting, all that stuff. Anyways, so I came and stayed with the guy, took the test, passed the test, ended up getting hired on by Grand Prairie, and moved out here with at the time, my wife, and then my firstborn was 6 months old at the time. So not really anything I ever wanted to do. I've always wanted to be a cop, but something that I fell into that honestly I really loved. It was a great place to be a cop. North Texas is a great place to be a cop, and it's a great job for someone that wants to continue to serve in the same capacity as the military, but not have to have a little more freedom, not get sent
military
to
light.
Yeah, not get sent to a lot of places you can be friends with your supervisors. There's a lot less to it, but you're still in the thick of things. You're still being involved on the kind of the front lines of homeland defense, just more locally, and you don't have to move. They're not sending you places. Typically, if you're off, if you don't have a job that's on call, you're off.
Right.
Don't have to put in leave paperwork. Don't have to wait for all the stuff that you complain about the military. You don't have that necessarily here, and then you still have the good stuff. So yeah, in 2014, we graduated December. Looking at LJ because he and I were in the same class. December 2014, and then we hit the streets. Yeah. So.
And then obviously, you did time in patrol. Whenever we talked last time, you were in the deployment unit. Mm-hmm. And I don't really think we got into that too much. We can talk about it a little bit now. The one spot that I wish so badly I could attempt to get to, it's just the family and the sports and all that. Just I was in units that were similar in my last agency. And that was one thing when we came here, when I was talking to my wife about making the move. And it's just a big deal to uproot from one place once you kind of established, you know, you made a name for yourself, you have some good things going on, to then go to a whole new department.
Yeah.
And start over at seniority. That was one of her things. She's like, you got to promise me no more special crap. Like no more, hey, we're the cool guys, like, but they can change their hours whenever they want. And I was like, okay. Then once we got here, kind of see, especially now, like I watch your all's cameras and stuff, and I'm like, I could do it. It could be fun. She's like, nope. You promised.
That is like the biggest catch-21 is like you have like all these cool units, right? And people call it, their agencies call them all different things. You know, you got street crimes or gangs or, you know, cat team or whatever it is, or
every chain of command has to have their own unique acronym.
Oh yeah, and that's something they call it, and then the thing is when you go and you meet up with other agencies, you have to like give them the name of the unit and then kind of explain what you do. Like it's one thing if it's like, oh, I'm SWAT. Oh, everyone knows what SWAT is, right? Yeah. Cool. I got no explanation needed. Or if you said like, yeah, I'm street crimes or I'm gangs, like most people are like, okay, cool. But it's like deployment unit. It's like, well, what is that? It's like, well, what aren't we? Like that's so that's the big thing about the unit is it's really is a catch-all. Like any street level stuff that doesn't fall on traffic or patrol or needs like it's a higher profile thing that needs bodies thrown at it, then it typically gets the deployment unit. So there really is not a like a set like, oh, this is what deployment unit does day in and day out. The catch-21 with these units is yes, the hours change because you're flexing and reacting to whatever's going on.
Right.
Same thing with SWAT. It's like I don't sit there and go, oh, I want all call-outs. All call-outs are going to be between 2 and 4 p.m. Like, no, that's not the case, right? So it would be nice if guys would call in and be like, hey, I'm going to barricade up in this house at this location at this time. Like, be like, oh, okay, cool. We'll be out there. We'll make it a date. But unfortunately, so the schedule change is like a real thing where like it could be changed on the fly. They try to give you a heads up, but some stuff just pops up real fast. For example, like you had a string of robberies at a certain time of night, and it's like, hey, we need to make sure we try to get ahead of this. Well, guess what? The next 2 weeks, now your schedule's this and that, and that is pretty tough on the family. But we on the deployment, we wore a lot of hats. We had the kind of the directed patrol, we're the designated gang unit at the time. We've also taken on the human trafficking aspect of it, Crime Stopper tips. So, and then anything else that, like I said, just doesn't fit anywhere else real well. Yeah, they kind of just pass over to us, and then we figured it out. So it is it was a lot of fun. I was on there for 2 years. I did 8 years on patrol, and then 2 years on deployment unit, and then coming up on be 11 years when I finally leave. But
the thing I find so attractive about units like deployment, and for any of our neighboring agencies might be listening, you're going to have similar. I think Fort Worth is SRT. And Dallas, it's like, at least it was called like Metro. I think they're
they have like a CRT deployment, or they have like something that's called deployment.
Yeah, so deployments at least used to was like a plainclothes. That's what I thought y'all were going to be at first.
Yeah, and they're not allowed to get out of their car. That's just straight surveillance.
Yeah,
and that's
strictly surveillance. And then your CRT teams is like kind of a hybrid sort of, but those are patrol station based. Whereas like what we were in was kind of like what y'all are. We were based downtown. So they would kind of divvy the city up, and you would have like general divisions that you would work. But if something popped up and it's like, hey, it's on the other side of town, you'd find yourself working in an area you'd never been to before. Yeah,
Dallas is huge. Grand Prairie. Luckily, we're a big city, but you're still small enough that I've worked in every area of the city over the years. So but Dallas, there's Fort Worth, or even Arlington to some degree. There could be an area of the city you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, every once in a while somebody will say something or ask me something about Dallas, like the northwest part of Dallas is an area I think I go out to eat every once in a while in that general vicinity. Both like from a professional perspective, no idea. Not geography, what's over there, no, nothing. People are just like, didn't you used to work there? And it's like, I mean, the city, but it was actually like 30 miles southeast of there. But
Yeah.
but yeah, that's one thing I find so attractive about units like that. It's not just the fact that you have a variety of things that you're doing, but it's y'all's aggressive stance towards those issues. Because like y'all, for instance, y'all use completely unmarked Tahoes. They have your full light packages. They're very clearly police cars once y'all decide that you want to be known as police cars.
Or if you really look really hard, which the vast majority of people don't. So
Right. But and like from my perspective, seeing y'all's cases, it's awesome to watch because y'all get stuff from like a string of robberies. Y'all aren't just going. There's different rules for everybody. Like some units might want to go and say, hey, this is how you can prevent robberies in the future. And that's fine, but that's not the approach y'all are taking. Y'all are taking the approach of like sitting up doing surveillance, trying to catch people in the act, and a lot of the fun things that come from that, be it the chases and the fights and stuff like that. So yeah, did that ever get? Because y'all got in a lot of stuff. Did that ever get old? Like you ever just like? Because in patrol, you show up sometimes, and you're just not feeling it. Like kids kept you up, whatever the case is. And you're like, man, I'm not gonna just burn it down today. Like I'm gonna answer my calls, do my job, but I'm not gonna go out there and just go crazy. Deployment, that's not quite so much an option.
Yeah. So the deployment's it's 6 is the full unit and a sergeant. I mean, you work really, really closely with these guys. So like patrol, it's pretty easy to show up, and if you're not feeling it with the 20 other people, 25 people you have on patrol, like you can typically find a way to take it easy a little more without sandbagging it or whatever.
Right.
The deployment unit's a little different because like a guy being down is a significant loss of personnel. However, because we work so close together and you just you become very, very close. If somebody comes in and goes, hey, like this is what's going on at home or whatever, then we're like, man, we're doing this and needs everybody. Well, hey, why don't you do this piece over here, which maybe isn't as big of an active role or whatever it is. So we took care of each other because when you're doing that stuff, especially there were some times where it was just you're jumping from one thing to the next. Like burnout is a very real thing.
Oh yeah.
And these aren't like right. We're not sitting out front of somewhere waiting for someone to steal some candy. Right. Like we're sitting up on somebody who we're about to take into custody for capital murder. Right. So these are not ones that like you need to be on your A game like the vast majority of the time. It's funny because as a unit we would try to keep things so contained within the unit, right? We don't really want to affect patrol or whatever it is. And so there's a lot that even the department people, patrol, otherwise, they don't know like all of what's done in the deployment unit because it's just you go do it, you take the personnel, we don't take the channel, we don't right. And the thing is too is we're not confined to Grand Prairie as well. Like we go all over the Metroplex, especially chasing out leads for CID or tracking somebody for auto theft or we took a guy into custody for family violence in downtown Fort Worth near the Tarrant County. Like that's where we were finally able to catch up to him and get all the pieces in place necessary. So he had a warrant, so it wasn't like we were out there arresting him for some offense happening. No, he had a warrant, and based on the severity of offense, they wanted him taken into custody. So just stuff like that. So you do a little bit of everything. You have to be kind of a jack of all trades. Yeah. And we used the unmarked vehicles. We used what's called pound puppies. That's right. The vehicles that have no lights are not police standard issue at all. They're seizures, or we borrow from the pound. Plain clothes, uniform, just anything that we need to do to accomplish the job. So there's a lot of autonomy in that and it's a blast, but it's also sucks when you're sitting up on a location for days on end, right? And nothing's happening, but it's like, oh, it's an ag sex assault case, and they think he's going to bounce, so we can't go do other stuff. So you're sitting there for 2 days in the back of a van, and it's rainy and cold, just staring at a house,
trying to stay awake.
And then if it sucks if you're the eye, because then you're not doing you're stuck. Yeah. Like so, if onesies or twosies get pulled away to do something else, you're just kind of stuck on it. So For the most part, it was it's a lot of fun. Things go sideways fairly often, and that can also be fun. Not on purpose, like we don't try to let things go sideways, but when they do, you just know that you're with a solid group of people. So you're like, okay, this isn't going as planned. It's starting to go sideways. That's how I got bit by one of our police canines. So, when things go sideways, things go sideways. But you're with a solid group of people that you're like, hey man, like I'm glad I'm with you guys, right? If things have to go poorly, then I'd rather be with this group than the random others.
Yeah, people who can think on their feet, invaluable in this profession. Like if you have zero inclination towards the skills needed for this job, which most people, unless you're a psychopath, shouldn't have those skills, because you, as a citizen, you're not going out detaining people, and if you are, then you might be wrong. You're probably not a good fit for us. But yeah, the ability to learn something and roll with it, and think outside the box, is so important in units like that. You want to tell a story about the dog? Yeah, sure. Like it's always a good one. People like the story. So I mean, kind of running down on police canines. Like police canines don't recognize uniforms. It's not like they know uniforms just smell like, oh, that uniform's that's an officer. That's a bad guy. So it's kind of like, which is funny because I'm not a big dog person. Because like one of my first jobs was to turn off people's water for a water company. Like, and I grew up out in the middle of nowhere, so everyone had dogs, and they were all going to bite anybody who came on their property. And, well, actually, my job was to read water meters. Every once in a while, I had to turn it off. And I was like 15. So dogs always just chase me and try to bite me. And so I've never really been real big on them. And but then I got first police department. We were around canines, and I told myself they're with us. They know they're not supposed to mess with us. I didn't know if it was a smell or I figured it was a uniform. I was like, I'm not in any danger or whatever. Then now that I'm here and our canines are even more active, and I realized that was complete. Well, it's if you're part of the pack. So if you're around them and the handler, you're fine. Like you can do stuff because the dogs recognize like, oh, these are all my people. But it's when like officers or whatever, or even normal people start muddying the waters, and where you can't give that dog like a clear sight picture of what they're supposed to go after. Right. So once you establish that sight picture, then that dog's gonna go. But the dog can get confused just as much as any other animal. Right. And sometimes it's like it's not necessarily the fault of anybody. It's just the circumstances, the way they aligned up. I think this is your way of saying it wasn't your fault. Specifically, I think we all share small parts of causing the confusion that led to this. But I wouldn't say anybody did anything wrong per se, because talking about that, like thinking on your feet, like you can't be a robot and be like, oh, that does not compute, does not like. Right. You have to be able to flex with what you're seeing and what's going on, and go, okay, what's important right now? It's this. Okay, I'm gonna do this. And if you just do stuff to do stuff because it feels good, or you're like, oh, I'm stressed, let me just do this. Yeah, that's probably not. Yeah, you can get lucky, but it's probably not gonna be the right answer. So we ended up finding this guy. He had a warrant attached to his plate. It was at the front of the Sam's Club down off I-20, and it was evading in a vehicle as a warrant attached. And we were just. We weren't doing anything else. It was just kind of like, hey, go find stuff to do. Whenever there are rare periods of time where there's nothing like coming down the pipe, and it's just like, okay, like we all have stuff like, hey, we heard about this dope house, or let's go check out this wanted guy. You just have busy work, and we'll go get into something. And so this vehicle found this vehicle just parked at one of those side shops or whatever. So I sat up on it, and I was like, hey, come over here. Like it's probably gonna leave soon. So as the units were getting into the area, we started to pull in the parking lot because I couldn't see if the vehicle was occupied or not, and I didn't see anybody to walk out to. Well, all of a sudden the reverse lights went on. So clearly there had been someone in the car, and so I was like, oh, hey, we need to try to move in on this car right now. So we tried to move in on the car. It was already in motion. He takes off through the parking lot. Like in an evading sort of way, or just? Oh, evading, no, because we lit him up. So going through the parking lot, it's extremely like hazardous, so we shut it down pretty quick. Like we're not speeding through a parking lot in this thing, so we shut it down. He pops out the back road. Well, one of the other guys happened to be on that back road, on Barden, and saw him come flying out there, so he initiated a chase. So he flipped around, and in doing so, hit the curb and jacked up his rim a little bit. So he takes off. So we finally catch up.
like we're not too far away. It wasn't a long pursuit, but he ended up crashing. The suspect ended up crashing a couple of vehicles and then trying to hop a curb. And it's like this little Kia 4-door or whatever it was. So he ends up bailing out. Well, by the end of it, the officer that damaged the rim, I'd swapped out with them. So it was me and then our K9 guy up front. And so we bail out. We're chasing this guy on foot. He's going into a neighborhood. Well, he goes into a fence, a backyard, jumps over the fence in the backyard. So we fling open the gate.
Or a random person.
Just random person, yeah. So we can, and it's the first house. So it's not like he went several houses down. It's literally the road. He went to the first house. So part of the fence was along the road that we had just driven in on. That's an important fact. So we open up the gate. Well, we see him climbing the back fence, about to flip it over. So once again, giving that dog a good sight picture. So K9 was like, hey, gave him the command to go apprehend, right? We can see the bad guy or whatever. Pointed the dog in that direction, assumed that he could also see the bad guy, and then said go. Well, the dog didn't see the bad guy. So now the dog's like, okay, I just got this apprehend command. Now I'm looking for
apprehend.
Right. So me and the handler are close together. So he's not going to turn around and just be like, oh, you guys will do. No, he's going to go find something. Well, that officer that jacked up his rim, he had climbed the fence from the road on the outside and was sitting on top of the fence, and he was trying to tase the guy as he went over the back fence. So now we got so he's sitting up there. Well, the dog looks over and goes, oh, that guy looks pretty shady on the fence. So let me go.
You both got bit, didn't you?
Yeah. So let me go see what's up with this. So he goes running over there, jumps up, and ends up like nipping, not a full bite, but nipping the officer on the inner thigh. Like we're talking inches. Like we're missing by inches here. So he got him on the inner thigh, just not a full bite, just like enough that like he ended up needing stitches and kind of tore the pants. Well, I watched the dog go that direction, and then the handler obviously went after him because he could see that he was tracking towards that officer. So he went over there and he's yelling at the dog. Well, now I'm standing at the entrance to the backyard. In my mind, that dog was attached to that officer's leg. Like I thought this was a full-on bite, and I was like, ooh, that sucks. But what's important right now?
Yeah, bad guy.
Bad guy, right? The guy we just chased. So I was like, well, let me continue the foot chase. And while they're dealing with that's going to be a while. I will continue the foot chase. That way we can try to apprehend this guy, right? So I hit the fence. I start climbing the fence. Well, in the meantime, it wasn't a full bite. It was a little nip. And so the handler gets over there, gets control of the dog and says, hey, no, that's not the right guy. Is checking on that officer. Well, now the dog is like, okay, that wasn't it. Well, who else could it be? And so he's looking around. It's like, who's the next shady-looking dude? Oh, it's probably that guy that's climbing the fence very rapidly, which was me. So the dog came over. Yeah, the dog came over and latched onto my calf.
Like full on?
Oh, yeah, pretty solidly. Like I've got like full-on bite scar. So I'm at the – and the thing that sucks is so I'm at the top of this fence. I'm like – I was with like a second of vaulting over. I was at the top, like ready to go. I feel the dog hit the back of my leg, and suddenly I can't move because I got this like 70-pound Malinois on the back of my leg. The thing that sucks is I could see the bad guy. So I'm watching the bad guy run across the backyard, out the front gate, across the cul-de-sac, and I was like, man, I had him. Like I had him because I was like, I'm gonna jump in here. I was like, I got this guy. He's not running very fast. I was like, I know I can get it. So unfortunately, I didn't catch the guy. Did we catch the guy? Yes. We ended up catching the guy. He jumped in their fence and bed down, and we were able to get him. So thankfully, with all that chaos, we were able to actually still catch the guy. But it did cost a couple little kisses from the K9, little gentle kisses. Yeah. So I was off for a couple of days, letting that heal up, but it wasn't a significant wound. And so, like I said, it was just one of those situations where nobody did anything wrong per se. Just the way the situation played out, everyone made decisions based on what they were seeing and going, okay, this is what's important now. And then sometimes it doesn't go according to plan, but you still win in the end. So thankfully, we still won in the end. Minus some damaged cars and a couple of damaged legs, but like my leg's still here, so it's
plus.
Yeah, it's a plus. I do have, and I got
There
scars.
was something went wrong with your other job, I guess.
yeah, exactly. If I was on the EOD side and things went wrong, they're very catastrophic. But so yeah, well, it's stuff like that, and you're with guys that can flex with that kind of thing, and so we still caught the guy just using the manpower that we had in that moment. And so in the end, it was still a win. Our sergeant absolutely hated us in that moment because we had a damaged patrol car.
Right.
All this paperwork from the chase and all that stuff, plus 2 guys that were now going to the ER to get wounds cleaned out and stitched up and stuff like that. So I'm not the only person that's been bit by or the only officer that's been bit by a canine. Like you said, these situations are very rapid. Typically, if a dog's being deployed, like we're at the upper levels of in the fan. So there's officers other officers been nipped and bit and stuff like that.
Plainclothes officer bit not too terribly long ago.
I didn't hear about that. Here?
Yeah.
Oh.
I thought maybe I'm making it up.
I mean, I didn't necessarily keep up with all
He's
that.
shaking his head no, but he's giving a look like, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I mean, yeah, there has been. It's just that they are dynamic situations. Yeah. But so when stuff goes sideways, still goes sideways. We still can sometimes pull the win, but every once in a while, we come slinking back with our tail between our legs because we got burned or whatever it is. But now deployment was fun for that period of time.
Well, you had an interesting reaction because like you and I went different ways with dogs after getting bit. I was like, okay, I'm not the biggest fan of them.
Yeah.
You were like, I know what I'll do. I'll be a canine.
Well, apparently it's contagious or whatever. So, yeah, towards the end of that 2 years, I was coming up on 10 years here at the department and all the time on the streets. And I mean, I was kind of hitting a point of like burnout, and I was just like, my heart wasn't really in the street work anymore. I was just kind of starting to lose that interest, and so
it's hard to cut you off, but like for civilians that are listening, burnout. It's a universal thing. Mm-hmm. Like if you work the street and you work nothing but the street, it's going to happen to you. One of the ways you can kind of gauge the quality of life for a street officer is kind of when you hit that period. You get there's plenty of departments out there. You get 3 to 5 years, you're hitting that bad. And you're ready to leave the profession. You work for a department where you're getting 8-10 years. That's not bad.
Well, yeah, the change kind of happened like 6 years on nights was like, all right, working nights is fun, absolute blast. Like if I had to go to patrol tomorrow, I'd be like, oh, let me put me on night shift for a little bit. Let's get that out of my system. But I mean, it's not natural. It's not healthy. Yep. Like it wears on you. So swapping the day shift was a good change, but it's the same work. It's now just light out. And now there's a whole bunch of other people out and about doing their stuff. There's a lot of noise. So you're trying to still chase bad guys, but now there's a whole bunch of other people you got to look out for and make sure that you're not putting them in danger. All of our fine citizens that are just out living their lives and doing their thing. Yeah.
It's a funny thing because you do a night's work and you're like, I'm a cop. Like I catch all these bad guys, and you go days and you realize, I thought I was such a they were the only ones out there.
Yeah. It's somewhat like shooting fish in a barrel. Yeah. During the day, you really have to look a little harder and maybe do a little more leg work and stuff. It's a different type and to become good at it. But even most patrol officers that you encounter that have been here, save for like freaks of nature like Oscar, who's been on the streets for 40 years, save like somebody like that. Years. Yes, literally 40 years. I'm not even making that up. Most of the officers that are like, oh, I've been in the department for 20-something years, they've been on the streets, did something else, did another thing, came back to the streets. So their time on the streets isn't like a ton of time. Most of them have some other stuff that they went and did. They went to CID or they went to SRO or they went to the lake or whatever it is. And then they kind of jump back and forth because it gets very routine, it gets boring, and you start hitting that burnout. And so that's where I was at the 10 years, like, okay, I need to maybe not work the streets anymore because I'm hitting that. If I continue down this path, I'm going to end up in a bad place mentally, and I'm not able to perform at peak performance. And so it just so happened at the time that I was kind of like, okay, this is starting to wear on me. Plus, once again, schedule changes. At this point, married, I have 4 sons, right? Yeah. So I got kids. They have all stuff going on. I got my wife. She has got stuff going on. Doing that whole like, hey, I know we said we were going to go out to a movie and stuff tomorrow, but this happened, right? And she was already kind of over it with SWAT, being on SWAT for 8 years. Yeah. And then on top of that was deployment. Like,
it's a lot.
She was just like every time I would say, hey, and she just starts shaking her head. So Thankfully, she's still around and stuck it out. But I did put her through hell on the schedule things. But the ISD was wanting to add another dog. We have two. Now we have two, but at the time the ISD had one dog that worked in the schools for sniffing drugs and guns. And then we have a very large ISD. So they wanted to add a second dog. So they were looking at like, hey, we need a second handler. Right. And so that opportunity presented itself, and I was fortunate enough to get selected for that. So that's what I've been doing the last years, working in the schools, running a dog. So I got bit, and that made me, I guess, want to be a canine handler, like a bit by the bug or whatever.
I'm gonna do a better job.
I don't have a bite dog, so maybe that's it. I don't know if I'd work a bite dog. I don't know if I want to go that route. I'd say that we're like the JV of the canines.
Oh, really?
Because it's drugs and guns. Yeah. In the school, single purpose German Shepherd is what I've got, and like we just work the schools. There's no street work or whatever, so it's been a good break just because it's not quite as intense. The school district loves us. We have a really good working relationship with the Grand Prairie ISD, so it's like a good place to be. Go hang out at the school. You got good kids, you got bad kids. They're funny regardless, because both of them say and ask some crazy questions or do stuff. Every once in a while.
My kids are getting the age they're using slang. I don't know what the hell they're talking
about. Oh, yeah. I've definitely learned a lot being in there and realized it's not 2002 anymore. Right, yeah. Things have changed for sure, but it is fun to work in the schools and have the freedom, because the K9, we're not assigned to a school, we're floaters. Right. So we're doing sniffs as they call of rooms or backpacks or whatever it is. But also we cover down if an SRO has to go somewhere. So I get to be in the schools for a couple of days, then in this school. So it's a lot of variety and change, and then I get to hang out with a dog. Yeah. And
are you a dog person?
Yeah, I mean, I would not like. I own 17 dogs, but I prefer dogs over cats or something else. But I do like dogs. I've had big dogs past over a decade. Yeah. So not like a crazy dog person, but I definitely have an affinity towards dogs. Yeah. And now I like the dog I have. When they're very young, because he's about to be 3. So I got him when he was around 2, and it was like having a 4-year-old in the car all the time. Nice. But that doesn't speak the same language as me. So it was very much
you can put that 4-year-old in a cage. When I do that at home.
No, yeah, that's
I
generally
feel like a bad person.
Yeah, that's how CPS gets called on you. Yeah. But it was like having this hyperactive 4-year-old that just it didn't know the routine, so it's just constant like whining and stuff. Right. Would listen most of the time, but when he wouldn't listen, it was like wouldn't listen. And it's like being in the aisle in Walmart while your kid's throwing a fit and you're making a scene. It was stuff like that where I'm trying to get him to in the car, and there's everyone watching and me yelling at my dog and why isn't that dog in the car? And then I try to go over to grab him to get him in the car, and then he moves. And so like we've gotten over that stage. So that was a little frustrating in the beginning, and I was like, man, is this what I volunteered for? Like I'm gonna be this. I gotta figure out how to handle this dog. But training and routine with these dogs is what gets them to a point where they're that highly trained police dogs. So now we don't have any issues. It's the working relationship between me and the dog is really good. So hopefully the new handler will be able to continue that. He's getting lucky because he's getting the dog with all the kinks worked out. Right, yeah. So he's going to be like, oh, man, this job is great. This is so easy. And I was like, yeah, wait till you go, after this dog is retired, wait till you go get a new dog. And then you can call me and tell me how easy this all was. Because these dogs don't come from the school like highly trained. That school is literally like, hey, we're going to introduce these odors, tracking, biting, whatever it is, and we're going to teach you how to train the dog more. So it's in the introduction, the dog gets somewhat accustomed to it, and then it's teaching you how to train so then you can go back and train. So the training is the bulk of the training is on the handler.
So I was going to say, so it's almost like just as much about training you.
Yeah. So it's just to train you to become a dog trainer in these specific areas, get the dog accustomed and introduced to the stuff, and then you go back to the department and you've got to continue that training. So definitely on the struggle bus there at the beginning, while I was trying to figure things out, he's trying to figure things out because he's also a brand new dog. Right.
Like brand new alive.
But yeah, just a couple years old, and but in the end, it all worked out, and I'm pretty proud of the progress that dog's made. And so, man, if the new handler doesn't appreciate it, I'm gonna be pissed.
I'm be very disappointed from very far away.
Well, the great thing about the school is the environment's very regulated and stuff. So the terrain is all the same. So he knows when we step in a classroom, he's like, I know what I need to do. So it's pretty easy because he just does what he knows he's supposed to do. I don't have to try to prompt him anymore because he's done it so much that. So it's really just kind of like he does the work and I'm accompanying him as his interpreter. He lets me know when a bag needs to be searched, and I turn around and I tell the school admin, like, oh, yes, that bag there. So more of an interpreter than really anything else.
That's kind of what was my next question was how does it work? Because obviously, like, I have an idea how it works on the street when it comes to, like, vehicle sniffs and stuff like that. But legally, do you have limitations there? Or, like, does the Fourth Amendment apply in a school environment? Or
well, I mean, so consent is always gets around due process, right? If I ask you if I can search something and you say yes, well, cool, I can search. I don't need a warrant. You're giving me that consent. So in the school grounds, if you read kind of the policies of the school as well as the handbook that's given to the parents and stuff like that, the code of conduct, it outlines like searches and what they're going to do, what they utilize, and then what criteria is met for a search, and then the parents sign it saying, to enroll the school. So technically, all parents have consented to some degree. Now, they're not in there just like arbitrarily searching bags.
Right.
Like, let me see your bag. So
Are you able to, though?
Yes and no. I mean, there still has to be an articulable reason. So it is still like on the streets, probable cause, right? Right. That's what we need to obtain a search, whether it's a search warrant, whether it's a search on the streets or whatever, or consent. They still need to be able to articulate some reasonable suspicion. So that's kind of, so it's a little lesser of like of why they're searching a specific student. Now, where the dog comes in is sometimes you get a tip that says like, hey, somebody is smoking in this room, somebody has a vape, somebody has this, whatever it is, and then you can take the dog and the dog will run the room and isolate the backpacks. So instead of searching 30 or 40 backpacks, now you're only maybe searching 2 or 3. So that's kind of where that comes into the play on the dog side there.
So like in a way, I guess, so on the street, a dog, like you always try to go least invasive to most invasive forms of search, and a dog is kind of a step up on that continuum of invasiveness, I guess. But I guess in the school environment, it's actually a way to be less invasive.
Correct.
On the individual level.
Yeah, because otherwise, I mean, if there's a tip that says, hey, there's drugs in this classroom, well, the teachers and the admin have a duty to find those drugs. Like, this is in a school, right? Yeah. This is not on the streets where it's like, It's like, no, we need to find, because the drugs being introduced into that environment, there's a lot of safety, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, they could go search all 30 bags in there, but now we're really disrupting the learning environment. Right. Or we can take the dog in there. So this is, yes, preventing. We don't have to search everything. Now we're only searching 2 or 3. So the students that are doing the right thing, that aren't around that stuff or whatever, their bags are untouched. They still maintain the degree of privacy. The school also uses mesh or clear bags, so there already is so you can kind of see what's already in there. And then even with the students, we don't like search their pockets or whatever. They wand them, and then if it goes off, then we can do a search there. Same thing at the metal detectors. It's the same deal. If they chirp on the metal detectors and, hey, come over here, let me see what's in your bag and stuff like that. So they do maintain a great degree of respect and privacy for each individual student, while also maintaining a safe learning environment. So I think they're the way that the ISD does it, which is pretty standard around most big ISDs. It's going to look somewhat similar. I mean, I think it's a good approach. And then every once in a while, they'll, just to kind of keep everyone honest, they'll have me come in and pick 3 random classrooms, and then we'll just to do 3 random, just that way kids know that, like, hey, if I take this to school, today might be my number, right? And we don't want to get hemmed up for that kind of stuff. So it's a lot of prevention, and then intervention if it's actually at the school. So but it's pretty good gig. You definitely have to want to not be a street cop when you go there because it's very much not street cop work.
Yeah.
It's a completely different aspect.
Yeah, I put in for SRO probably a couple years ago now, and since I got passed over for it, and since having been passed over for it, I think it was probably a blessing. It's probably a good thing now.
I mean, you're still doing still doing a lot of stuff. Where I mean, there's still stuff that needs to be investigated and stuff in the school. So you're still active and doing stuff. It's just if you're out there wanting to chase stolen cars and get in foot chases and not really the place to do it. Because even if you are making these arrests, a lot of them are handled by the juvenile system, which is a little different, just because they are still considered children.
Right.
So it's just a different system. And a lot of times we defer to the ISD and like, hey, what do you want to do with this versus like coming down the full way of the law, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a different environment. It's still good that police officers are working in that environment, but it definitely takes the right type of police officer in the right mindset.
Right.
So as long as you're ready to do something completely different and can set aside the cool guy stuff on the streets, then I mean the SRO gig is still very, very much a worthwhile endeavor. And having a dog is fun too. So it's a great part of the department.
Your exit strategy. You think so highly of us, and you have enjoyed your time.
Okay, well, don't do that. Like, what are you? You got sent in here to guilt me, didn't you? That's what this is.
Yeah, I'm the last ditch effort. I'm the retention department, trying to see if we can work something out.
Oof. That's rough then.
Yeah, I know.
We're really trying to keep people. No offense, but
I shouldn't be the guy?
I mean, you're the retention guy.
Yeah, I actually would be terrible with that.
You just be like, oh, you want to go? Okay.
Yeah.
There's the door.
I'm a terrible salesperson. That's why I used to sell suits. I say sell suits. I used to work at a place where I was expected to sell suits. Now I walk up to somebody and be like, hey, need help? Or can I, do you want to buy this? And be like, nah. Okay. Then I walk off. But then the other guys like super pushy and they make all kinds of money. And I was terrible. But anyway, you're leaving.
So sell me staying. I'm just kidding. Don't. It's not going to work. Like I already got stuff in motion here.
Eventually, I hear if you stay here long enough, you can get an 11% cost of living increase.
An 11%.
11% specifically.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah. If you stay here for I think it takes a while. Yeah, and I don't know how good you have to be at your job. Maybe not at all. I don't know, but you can get 11%. Yeah. It's doable.
Well, I'll ponder that about staying, but I probably won't sway my mind.
Okay. I tried.
So yeah, there we go. He tried. He tried to sell the department to stay, but not going to work. But no, I mean I do think highly of this department, and obviously if other opportunities didn't present itself, I wouldn't be going anywhere. I wasn't looking. And that's the whole thing and you kind of said it before. Is like this is a very unique opportunity to me and my family. It really wasn't available for anybody else. And so I wasn't looking for an opportunity to leave. It was an opportunity presented itself, and we were in a position where we could take it and figured, I guess YOLO, as the kids used to say. They don't say that anymore in the high school.
That's like having a Facebook, man. That's just not,
dude, right?
Yeah, it's not a
bunch
thing
of
people do.
Boomers with Facebooks, right?
It's
the Facebook.
It is so funny because my job I don't know, it wasn't that long ago. People just stopped having Facebooks.
Yeah.
Because my job was so easy when people were using Facebooks because they would just commit crimes and then document it all on Facebook. And it was it was amazing the cases I would make.
Well, now they use the other ones where you actually have to work to get in.
God, it's so hard. And it's or the Instagrams, it's they'll use these crazy names and it's I'm not going to.
And they'll change them too often.
They'll make a post, they'll delete the post. They'll
change the username. I mean, we ran into that on the deployment unit trying to track gangs and stuff like that.
I was going to say the one exception to that I've found is gang members. They will literally share hashtags and put little stuff on the end of their screen names to show that they're a part of the same gang. And it's it's maybe not as hard as it was a decade ago. Yeah. Some of these guys they're there for the clout, so they don't care who sees. Yeah. Oh no. There's one crew who they steal. I'm not gonna say exactly what to do because it's ridiculously easy what they do, but per job they pull in the neighborhood of $200,000 to $300,000 in cash, and they're pretty prolific. and they have a group of Instagram accounts where they like basically document their exploits, but they actually do a decent job of committing the offenses to where putting a case on them is pretty freaking difficult. And
see, we give compliments where compliments. Like I'm about to say, we give props where props are due. Some guys you outdo yourself on the criminal act. So we're gonna give you props.
I follow them on Instagram still just to keep up with them because I feel like they're like, I won't say buddies, but they're doing
from a distance.
Yeah, if I had like $400,000 in cash, that's exactly what I would go do with my friends. Like it looks awesome.
Investing in a Roth IRA or 401k is not part of that plan. I know this for a fact after watching that.
They got a bunch of land down in a city to the south of us, and they just hang out with their friends all the time, ride four wheelers, shoot guns, most of which are illegal and stolen, and just have a good old time. And it looks
You're like
fun.
that would be awesome if it wasn't a bunch of stolen money.
Yeah, right. And if and even then, you would still kind of have that thought in the back of your head of like, oh man, like these guys do it. But then when you look at their criminal histories, and it's like, hey, yeah, they've been successful, but they've also been really not successful. And the next time they get busted, they're toast.
Yeah, it gets worse every time because you're not showing any kind of like change or remorse, and so the courts don't look kindly on people that are committing the same thing over and over and over again. So I mean, you are YOLOing. Right, if that's even a word, but because you're like it's not the proper way to go. Yeah, you can make a lot of money, but like eventually your life is going to drop out from under you, and then you're sitting in prison for 12 years or whatever it is, 15 years, just rotting away. And
now you're different, obviously, because your YOLOing, as you said, is going to.
Like I said back a few minutes ago, so me and my wife got married when I was in El Paso. She's in New Mexico. Well, her father has a farm in New Mexico, just inside around the Las Cruces, El Paso area, just inside New Mexico, right on the border. And ever since I've been married for going on 14 years, and even when I was just dating my wife, my father-in-law was like, "Oh yeah, I want to get someone to come take over the farm or whatever," because he's much older. Right now he's in his mid-70s. So this is a while ago. So he's been saying that for years, and everyone, all the siblings and stuff, just kind of were like, "Oh, okay, it's just him talking and stuff like that." It's a total of 6 siblings. My wife has 5 brothers and sisters.
Was she homeschooled as well?
Us.
No, you were, but was your wife homeschooled?
Oh, she was homeschooled off and on.
Okay.
Not quite as hardcore and just off and on. But she ended up going to NMSU and getting a nursing degree. So
cool.
Her education wasn't all that bad. But then again, it's a New Mexico school, so we'll give it a pass.
You're about to be a native.
It's true. It's literally about to change my driver's license over. But like he's been trying to get someone to take it over. It's primarily a horse, and he's grew alfalfa. And he had tried to grow some other things in the past too, but it's mainly like horse and alfalfa. And that's like he made his money on doing that. And so recently, like once again, everyone's like, no, all the other siblings are off doing their thing. And he's like, okay, well, nobody wants it. I'm gonna sell it. And so it was under contract with some investors that were gonna turn it into like his entertainment space.
Oh God.
Yeah, this is the farm
you don't sell to the devil.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess they came and he gave them some exorbitant price, and they're like, okay. And so he was like, sure, okay, like an enormous amount of price.
Yeah.
And actually, he wasn't even selling all of it. It was just going to be a chunk of it. It's about 40 acres, got 2 houses on it, and it's mainly farmland and then some horse stuff. But so yeah, he was like, hey, it's under contract, and so when you make the assumption like, oh, he's not going to get rid of it, he's going to keep it, and all of a sudden this thing that it's my kids like basically second home, they're constantly going out there. You know, my wife spent a significant amount of time on that farm growing up. When all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's a potential of this being like gone.
Right.
Suddenly things become a little more clear, and so we talked about it and was like, hey, is this something we could take on? And I was like, screw it, sure. Like financially, we were in a place that we could do it. kind of mentally as well. And so we went to my father-in-law and said, hey, if we buy it, like what's that going to look like? So he's like, well, if you commit to buy it, I'll pull out of this deal and I'll sell it to you for the friends and family, right?
Right, yeah.
So we said, okay, we're going to do, and this is, I mean, we're literally making the decision within a very short period of time because we had 45 days from like accepting the offer to when you sign, right? You got that option period.
I believe, 'cause I heard someone say, yeah, you hear that Joe's thinking about quitting or going to quit or something, and I was like, no, it's not. That's stupid. Like you just got your new job. Like
yeah, and
you like it here. Like you're not gonna leave.
And that's the thing is, I did just get this. I just got the dog and all that stuff, and so, but yeah, it came out of nowhere, right? And I had to make that. Though I couldn't sit on it. It's not like, well, maybe in a couple of years, right? I had to make the decision. Otherwise, it's gone. Like it's gone. And I knew that in 10 years, when I'm looking to actually retire, I'd look back and go, man, I should have taken that opportunity because, to be honest with you, law enforcement's work is gonna be here. It's like I still could do that if things happen, but it's not every day that you get an opportunity to like do something kind of wild and then keep a farm that's been in the family, continue in the family, and try to do something kind of different and wild. And
how many people, like of all the guys that we know, especially in our profession and in the military, that talk about wanting to live that kind of life, and how many guys actually have that chance? Like most of us can't go out and buy 40 acres. Like it's just not a thing that we're gonna be able to do. And to be able to have that opportunity, like, hey, even if you try it and hate it, dude, just to be able to say I gave this a go.
Well, and I still have a farm, so I might be doing a job. And I'm not buying all. I'm not buying all 40 acres right off the bat. Like I'm not. But it's all owned by my outright.
I wasn't trying to say you're rich. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
the family
the
thing.
next thing I'm going to get kidnapped and held for ransom or something like that. My wife's not going to pay that.
Be because of your farm.
No, but the thing is, my father-in-law owns it outright, so it's owner finance. They're still going to live on the property, so right. I'm buying a big chunk of it, and then we'll buy the rest of it as it comes through. But the joke about obviously the marijuana. So New Mexico, it's legal to grow marijuana, right? It's there's a lot of obviously rules and regulations.
I didn't know that. You know that.
Well, I knew that. Oh, it's because my new neighbor, it's like 2 farms down. He does grow marijuana. He's like an agriculture investor. He has a lot of different farms and stuff like that. But he does grow marijuana legally. Like he's not so much trying to do it on the radar. He's above board, has a license and all that stuff. And I mean, so you can, but New Mexico does make you jump through a ton of hoops. Sure. There's obviously taxes, regulations. It was, as with anything, right? This happened in every state, right? It happened in Colorado. All the other states that ended up, Oklahoma started that legalized it. The state's putting a lot of conditions on it. Well, anyways, that guy was the one that suggested that. Because, like, obviously, I mean, you're curious. You're going to ask, like, hey, how's the marijuana business? Like, in Texas, that's foreign, right? Yeah. We don't have people legally growing marijuana. Right. If they're growing marijuana, I'm, like, typically coming in there with a SWAT team. Like, that's what you get for growing. Like, all of a sudden, this place is like, no, you can grow as long as you, like, abide by all these rules. And being that it's, like, a neighbor or whatever. So my father-in-law was talking to him. I was like, oh, how's the weed business and all that kind of stuff? And of course, I'm super curious too. Yeah. And the guy was like, man, like, I don't like it all that much. If I could go back and do it all over again, I'd grow pomegranates. So I'm like, well, if the guy's growing marijuana is telling you to grow pomegranates, you probably should grow pomegranates. So that's what we're going to grow. So that's now people are like, oh yeah, pomegranate is totally code for weed. No, it's like pomegranates means pomegranate.
Well, if you were going to make up a thing to grow that you were going to say you were growing that as actually drugs, it would be pomegranates, like or tangerines or something
weird,
silly.
Right? Like, oh yeah, it's dragon fruit. I'll be a dragon fruit farmer. It's like he's not growing dragon fruit.
We sell it by the ounces.
And our dragon fruit is green. No, like we're legitimately like, yeah, we've actually we have a contact down there. We put in an order for about 600 trees as our first planting. I don't know if 600 is what we're going to end up with because it's a lot of trees to start, and so we'll see what the guy that we're working with down there. We'll see if what he can pony up. So, in the end, yeah, I'm taking this opportunity. the department has been really, really good, especially I can't say enough good stuff about the mental health resources they have here at the department. And that was the big thing is I don't know if I would be mentally at a place to be able to take a risk like this, to be able to do this 5 years ago, 10 years ago, right? And, pursuing some of those, especially coming out of the military, I had a rough time in Afghanistan. Iraq wasn't as rough, but it still saw stuff, a lot of stuff. But Afghanistan really roughed me up. And, I kind of carried that for a while and didn't realize it. And then when you finally realize it, you're like, okay, what do I do? What do I do?
Yeah.
The VA is just, for all the things it is, they do try, but it's a very difficult system to navigate, and they're not timely. So the fact that this department has invested so much time in setting up those resources, and being able to pursue those, being supported by the department, has been probably the biggest step forward that has gotten me to this point. So I don't want to say that the department primed me for leaving, but in the end, I do owe a debt of gratitude to the department for providing those resources. That got me to a place where mentally I can go, yeah, you know what, this is something I can take my kids. We're gonna try it.
Yeah,
like I said, if all fails, and then I'll get a job. Like I said, it's right inside Texas. There's law enforcement agencies out there. I can take my license over there. I can pursue something else, but I don't want to look back and play what if.
Yeah.
What if I had taken this opportunity?
Yeah.
Because all her siblings, they all said no, and then they found out we're buying it. They were super happy that it's staying in the family, and they're all very supportive of us. So it's like, you know what? It's an opportunity to present itself. I'm going to take it.
Absolutely.
Either win or fail, it's going to be a great story.
Yeah.
And if you're not living your life to collect a whole bunch of great stories, then you're doing it wrong.
Depends on what approach you take. That's the approach I took in college.
But you got some great stories, though. Which is maybe not in this setting here, but we got some great stories, and that's really what that's the great thing about this job. It's why people do this job. It's why the military is it's a lot of really good stories. And if you're not trying to do that, then what are you trying to do? You should just coast through life. You should try to collect some great memories and stories.
Yeah. We have a little picture in our house that says "Live a great story."
Yeah. 100%. And that's all this is a continuation of. And like I said, win or fail. But I mean, if people want to see whether we win or fail, like I said, we've decided to kind of put our story and our journey with the farm on Instagram and TikTok under Faith Farm New Mexico, which New Mexico spelled out. So Faith Farm New Mexico on TikTok and Instagram. If people want to kind of see here in a few months if we are winning or failing, I'm sure there'll be a little bit of both.
I'm just waiting to see when it becomes Faith Farms.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I actually think it's pretty cool that your kids are going to get to kind of carry on a tradition that you even got of having a dad who has a job that no one really believes.
Because of my dad allegedly being a spy or whatever.
Yeah, your dad used to went from cops to growing pomegranates, and they're like,
okay. And, on the border with Mexico. Oh, okay.
Wild.
Yeah. Like I said, a part of our job too as parents is to make sure that our kids start having good stories from early on. So we'll see how that goes there. But so leaving the department. But
you apprehensive at all about? Because obviously you went from military to this, but just they talk about the old proverbial putting the rifle down. I mean, you are. I mean, is there any part of that that's kind of intimidating?
So I'm a very compartmentalized person, so I'll be able to put it kind of in a box in a way. But I can tell you that probably the biggest thing that I'm gonna miss is just hanging out and being with just a bunch of meat eaters, right? Yeah. Just people that are throwing themselves at the evil that exists in society and just wanting all the friends I've made at this department, even through all the really some of my best friends on SWAT and deployment, all these units, these type of people. It's I'm definitely not going to probably have that as much. Yeah. And I can tell you that's going to be the biggest transition is. Because we already have friends over there from when I lived there, and then my wife and her college friends and that kind of stuff. But it's definitely going to be a different type of person.
Yep.
Not better or worse or whatever. It's just going to be a different type of person. And when I've existed in this environment for the last 19 years, I think that that's going to be a big change where, but at the same time, I'm not going to lose it, because instead of being at war with, you know, the evil and what that looks like in society, it's going to be a war with Mother Nature. Like, please don't kill my trees. Like, let my trees bear fruit. Like, what birds? What are you doing? So there's going to be there is still going to be a conflict there, and it's still going to be that part. And I'm hoping that I can meet people and then share, use it as a way to bring community together and share that conflict, especially if people aren't used to living any kind of conflict. So I'll try to maybe bring people into that kind of environment of conflict, and then when you win and you feel good about it. But I'm definitely going to miss that type of person. But I mean, it comes to an end at some point. Yeah. And it's not like I still have ties over here. My parents are here, my brother's here, and his wife and my niece. So I still got a lot of ties here. I still have friends here. So I'll constantly be back here. So at least I'll have a little bit of a reach back on that. But yeah.
Well, and for all the negative that comes with, we always talk about with social media and the phones and stuff like that. In this situation like this is a good example where they can be really positive, because it's going to kind of keep you grounded, close to those guys, and to people like me kind of keep up and say, how's the freaking the pomegranate farm going? Yeah.
And then, but I won't be posting all my misdeeds on there, so if you're, I'll be above board.
If your farm becomes more than 60%.
That's true. But in New Mexico, you got to keep it enclosed. So like I said, if you see a bunch of whole huge greenhouses start popping up, then the best say I fell to the temptation. But no, even as I really don't have a hardcore, but I'm gonna grow pomegranates. I don't feel like contributing to that part of society either way. So no, I'll miss the guys in the department. There'll be times that I miss the work, and I'm glad I landed here at Grand Prairie versus another department.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't, like I said, if this opportunity didn't present itself, I'd still be employee here, still doing stuff. I'm not, like I said, I wasn't looking for an opportunity to leave. This was an opportunity that I had to take, or I was going to be gone.
Yeah. Well, hopefully everything goes well, and maybe you would come back to visit when we have you back on here and update everybody.
The big old box of pomegranates, right?
It's true. Just to prove that.
Like, here, this is the only pomegranates I grew, but here's proof of that I was successful. It's from half a tree. No, like I said, we'll be putting, because right now there's nothing out there, so we'll be putting our whole journey of getting out there and all that stuff on social media, just try to prove to the world that it can be done, and that to think outside the box when it comes to stuff, and you can make things work.
It's awesome. I'm excited for y'all. It's gonna be cool.
I appreciate that. But yeah, I'll miss you guys for sure.
I miss you too.
Now there's some people
in the city.
Yeah, there's a few people that I may have had tussles with in the past.
There's a few people that are not
going
to miss you.
Yeah, exactly. They're definitely mutual. There's a few people that are probably glad that I'm leaving. But for the most part, like I said, the people at Grand Prairie have been great. And the department, the city, and ISD, everyone. It's been a good place to work. And if you're considering coming here, I'm not leaving. I'm not rage quitting here, but definitely a great place to explore, calling your next home for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, it's after 5. So
it's quitting time.
We're going to get out of here.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, guys. Till next time.